What's up guys? In this video today, I'm gonna talk about starting over from scratch in a brand new market in 2023. A lot of people out there are saying it cannot be done because interest rates are too high, property values have gone up too much, so you can't find a deal that cash flows. Well, I decided to go and do it in a different market, not Phoenix, Arizona, and I'll show you how. So just like a lot of investors are struggling in 2023 in your home market, like my home market, for example, is Phoenix, Arizona, the property values are so high here that it's very difficult to get a property unless you're putting a huge amount of cash down to actually cash flow because of the interest rates and the amounts of rent and revenue that they can possibly produce. Obviously, there's some creative methods out there like the pad split or room sharing model that I've mentioned before, but realistically speaking, those are definitely more hands-on management experience. And for busy people like me that are an active real estate agent, we want to have investments that are fairly passive. Obviously, no rental investment is 100% passive. You're always going to have to deal with some stuff, but we want deals on the 12-month lease because they're going to be the least amount of management. Short-term rentals, mid-term rentals, and the home sharing model, more hands-on, more cash flow, but you have more of a job with those types of things. So with all of this in mind, I thought about, okay, I'm in Phoenix, I want to continue building my rental portfolio, but right now, unless you're buying something with creative finance subject to, it's very, very difficult to find a property in the Phoenix market that's actually going to cash flow. And so I started looking at the Midwest and the South. Now, how do you do that? How do you pick a market and what are the things that you need to look for? The first thing that I looked for was a state that is landlord friendly. So I ended up picking the St. Louis, Missouri market, but there are also many other markets that will work with this model. Missouri is a landlord friendly state. They allow landlords to remove non-paying tenants through a legal process, usually within 30 to 60 days, somewhat similar to Arizona. And so for me, that was a comfort point. The other thing you're gonna wanna look at is a metro area's population. Now, I believe the St. Louis metro area is somewhere around 2 million people in population, and that is a solid metro area. Major sports teams, things like that, manufacturing, jobs, you want to look into all those types of things when you are picking a market. Now, in St. Louis, there's a lot of different pockets and a lot of different areas. I'm looking at that C to C plus, B minus area that's going to have a solid rental demand, solid tenant base, and it's gonna do well over the long range. Obviously, markets like this in the Midwest and South are not going to appreciate like Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix, Arizona had incredible massive appreciation during the COVID pandemic and the low interest rates after COVID. But now, obviously, that has kind of come to a plateau with the higher interest rates. St. Louis probably won't see massive appreciation in the event of a rate cut. It's probably going to be a little bit more mild, but that's okay. That's how real estate has performed historically for a long period of time, single-digit appreciation numbers. And the great thing about that is that's not the only way that real estate pays you. Real estate actually pays you 5 ways. The first one is appreciation. The second one is cash flow. Obviously, that's the money you have left after you've paid all your expenses and then set aside money for vacancies and maintenance. The next one would be tax benefits. As a real estate professional, you're able to take advantage of huge tax benefits that are only available to people that are real estate professionals viewed by the IRS. You also have debt debasement. Now, with the printing of money, your debt becomes easier to pay off. As your rental rates increase over time, you're gonna have more revenue and more cash flow. Now, as inflation continues, your cash flow is gonna keep up with inflation, but your mortgage payment will stay the same. So even at today's 8.5% interest rates, you can get a deal to cash flow at least $200 to $250 a month in the St. Louis market. So what kind of team are you gonna need on the ground when you enter a new market? Number 1, a real estate agent. Number 2, a contractor. And number 3, a property manager. And number 4, possibly some local wholesalers. I have bought properties both on the MLS and through wholesalers in the St. Louis market. Both of those sources are good ways to buy properties. The cool part about a market like St. Louis is that there's a lot of available deals. There's a lot of properties on the MLS that could be decent investment properties. For example, I purchased one property for $59,000. Our renovation budget is forecasted to be $38,000. So all in on that particular house, we're gonna be all in around $100K. And after repair value being at $120 to $130, I'll still be able to burr that house and not trap too much capital in it, while at the same time not squeezing my cash flow by over leveraging with an 8 or 8.5% interest rate. Now, there are many other markets in the Midwest that are worthy of this type of strategy. Kansas City, Memphis, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Detroit, to name a few. I've also been looking at Birmingham, Alabama, and the South. I just settled on St. Louis to start. So those are some ideas on markets you can look at, and there's probably some that I haven't mentioned that will definitely work as well. If you're from one of those areas, like I'm actually from Illinois, from Chicagoland area, I was familiarized with the Midwest. St. Louis kind of had a familiar feel. I actually ended up knowing a few people down there, so it gave me a level of comfort that I had. So if you have any connection to a Midwest area, do some homework, call some people, look around. Try to find some level of familiarity and comfort. The other thing that I did was I actually flew out there and I went boots on the ground, looked at some properties in person, bought a couple of properties to get started, tested out the contractor, had that expectation conversation, used my wisdom and understanding of construction over the years of doing deals here to analyze those bids, knowing what level of rehab are needed to get those rents that we're talking about, and then just formalizing and moving that process along. Additionally, my property manager is helping me to make sure the contractor is staying on track and they work closely together. Now, obviously my rehab cost for doing rehabs in St. Louis is higher than it is for doing them in Phoenix because I'm not on the ground. I'm paying someone to project manage these deals for me. So I closed on my first deal at the end of June in 2023. Today is October 31st, 2023, and I'm closing on my 6th property in St. Louis, actually tomorrow, November 1st, and that's a total of 7 units, 5 single families and 1 duplex property. All of them will either produce profit as a flip if I just renovate them, put a tenant in them and sell them to an end investor, or if I keep the tenant in there and just refinance them and hold them in my long-term portfolio, they will produce revenue over the long range. I'll get good tax benefits and all those other ways that real estate pays you. So the bottom line here is that it can be done in today's market. You just need to open your eyes and do some homework, do some research, figure out those markets that will work with today's interest rates, that have decent rental rates. The 1% rule is alive and well in many markets, and these may not be areas that you yourself would be comfortable living in, and that's okay. There's a lot of folks out there that are just looking for a clean, nice place to live, and I'm actually really happy that I can go out there, own these properties, improve them for people, and offer a nice place to live. So if you're a real estate agent that's just feeling beat up by the market, and you know that this is not the path that you want to take long range, you could actually buy one of these properties, and with the tax savings that you're gonna get off of that, you would be able to use some of that money you had saved for taxes and just use it on an investment property. So there's one idea for you right there. So if you're sitting here watching this thinking to yourself, Kevin, like, are you sure this can be done? Well, is this really gonna work for me? It's worked for multiple of my students. In fact, Dexter, one of my students, flew out to St. Louis this past weekend, looked at properties, and he plans on being under contract on his first deal within the next 30 days. This does work in today's market. Now you might be thinking, I'm stressed out, I'm not closing as many deals as I was closing in 2022 or 2021. I get that, I feel that. But right now, when the market is tight, this is when the opportunity is bigger because you're able to secure assets, you're able to get good deals, and when the interest rates drop, not if, when they drop, you'll be able to refinance these properties, increase your cash flow, appreciation will continue, and then the floodgates are gonna open on all sorts of retail transactions and other things, and you're gonna have these assets that are building wealth for you over the long range. The best time to start is 5 years ago. The second best time to start is right now. You gotta get into this and you gotta take action. So in your heart, if you're thinking, Kevin, I've heard enough, I want to talk to you guys. I want to figure out how I can just stop being an agent stuck in this grind and get into some level of financial freedom, some level of wealth building. What I would like you to do is go ahead and click the link below and book a call with me. There's a form I want you to fill out, answer those questions honestly. It's gonna give me the information that I need to give you the right advice. But if you're someone that is not willing to challenge limiting beliefs, if you're someone that doesn't wanna make changes in their life and do things that are a little bit uncomfortable, then don't waste your time, don't waste my time, don't book the call. Continue to educate yourself, watch some of my other YouTube videos. I want people that are action takers. I want people that are already successful that I'm gonna put gas on the fire and take them to the next level. I want people that wanna go to 7 figures and beyond that are committed. We'll see you there.